Are you obsessed with your investments, the returns, the quarterly gains, and looking at your money grow online? Well, that isn't a strategy. It's just a shiny distraction from what truly builds your future wealth. In fact, when it comes to reaching your most cherished life goals, it really is just the very, very tip of the iceberg. Over the decades, when wealthy families come to us, they usually have a burning question. Something like, what do you think about my investments? Am I on track? I've just sold my house, received a big lump sum, and what exactly should I do with this? These are the types of questions around pensions, investing, performance, and products. But here's the thing. That question, it's rarely the real issue. In fact, it's usually just a pretty shallow distraction. What this video is going to do today is to take you below the surface fast, because those families that can build and keep their wealth over generations, they think about things very differently. And today I'm going to show you exactly how. And to begin with, I want you to picture an iceberg. You know the idea. 10% is visible above the surface, but the rest, that's the 90% below the surface. Massive, invisible, quietly guiding everything. We see this all the time when somebody first sits down with us. They might ask us, what do you think about my investment portfolio? And that sounds like a very logical question. But here's what we've learned. That question, and most of the others like it, are just floating up there in the visible part above the waterline. Because no matter how many spreadsheets you run, how many market updates you chase, you're still staying pretty shallow. The real direction, the way their entire financial life moves, is being pulled by what goes on beneath the surface. That's where the weight of the iceberg is. It's where the deeper ocean current is, and it's the place from where the direction of our ideal future is directed. And if you want to be smart with money, proper generational wealth smart, you need to go much deeper. So let's take a dive, because the moment you go even slightly below the surface, you'll start noticing some very different questions begin to emerge. They're not about products. They're not about timing the market or picking the next investment trend. They're much deeper. And they fall into three major outcomes that we've seen come up again and again with successful families who've built very significant wealth. Outcome number one is what we call wealth mastery. This is all about the feeling of being in control, of knowing I've always made the smartest choice I could have with what I have. This isn't about being the next Warren Buffett. It's about having absolute clarity, about making big decisions without second guessing. And the way that wealthy families begin to do this is exactly the same way as big businesses do it. This is with a set of management accounts, annual accounts, and a cash flow forecast and budget against which different decisions can get weighed and modeled. Doing this in detail creates a quiet confidence, a much deeper insight into answering these big life questions, such as, should I retire? Is this a truly smart decision? Because families who take the time to chart a proper destination and know that all of their capital assets, be that human, emotional, or financial capital, are working for them in a way that matches their ideal future. Outcome number two is what we call wealth security. This one's much more emotional, and it's almost always there even when people pretend it isn't. Answering questions such as, will I be okay if? Will my partner, my kids, the people I care about most in the world, will they be okay no matter what happens in the future? And this is all about certainty. Not, is the stock market down kind of way, but in the life is unpredictable kind of way. It's completely human to procrastinate about sensible planning and to put off buying things such as adequate insurance. It's entirely human not to regularly update our wills, guardianship documents, or powers of attorney, and most people don't have them at all. It's entirely human and normal to consume too much each month and to save too little each year, or to assess safety and risk not in terms of the growth of our future purchasing power with our money, but in the value of our principal capital that we invest in the first place. It's entirely normal for us to be prone serially to episodes of absolute panic or remorse, and then euphoria, and always at the exact time when markets are going up and down. Most of us have pretty flawed understandings of critical topics, such as the aggregated costs within investment, opportunity cost, investment taxation, debt structuring, or how individual money scripts control our investment and our spending decisions. We unconsciously chase performance and attempt to time the market even whilst being adamant that this isn't what we're doing. We follow the herd. We ignore the inevitability of events such as death or common risks that we know occur in life, such as cybercrime, aging parents, death of a loved one, critical illness, or other major life quakes. By the way, if you're interested in the time-tested, evidence-based principles behind successful investing, please download the free guide in the description below. Now, apathy, resistance, indecision, inertia, procrastination, and self-harming prevarication are all as ubiquitous as wrong decision-making, inattention, misplaced faith, and inaction when it comes to making wise and sage financial life decisions. The truly successful families know that if your life strategy and your plan doesn't hold up with absolute certainty in the tough times, it isn't really a plan, it's just wishful thinking. So wealth security is hard because it involves dealing with the hard things that we don't like to think about. It's all much easier to think about the shallow questions around the tip of the iceberg, where the news channels are the storm raging around the tip of the iceberg. Things such as Trump fine wine funds, off-market investment opportunities, and other interesting, shiny stuff. But true wealth security is absolutely priceless when those difficult times come in life, because we know that time always wins. Now, outcome number 3 is what we call wealth enjoyment. This is often the most overlooked one, but the one which I personally feel is the most important, because what's the point in all of this wealth that we're carefully building if it's not buying you the life that you actually want? Life's not a rehearsal, and every day, precious time is ticking away. If you've got the money, but not the time, if you're wealthy on paper, but you're exhausted and trapped in a lifestyle that doesn't really excite you, is that really life success? Wealth enjoyment isn't about reckless spending, but it is about being able to say that I can take that month-long trip with my family and create important memories with those I love and not have to worry about a thing. It's about supporting causes that really matter to you without having to think twice, or living life on your own terms, doing the things you want with who you want when you want to do it. But here's the problem. Most people never get past the very tip of the iceberg. They keep having the same conversations. How's my performance been this quarter? Is now a good time to buy property? What do you think about this fund or this type of opportunity? Now, it's not that those questions are wrong. It's just they're very shallow. Perhaps they're even commoditized because I can just get the answer by looking on my computer. And shallow questions lead to suboptimal outcomes and missed life opportunities. Think about it. If you only focus on market updates, product switches, and market timing, you're always going to feel like you're reacting, like you're being herded, not guided. You might sometimes make money, it will go up and down, but you'll also never truly feel secure in this. You won't really know what it's for. And at some point you'll look up and realize that you've potentially been drifting in the wrong direction all along. Here's where it can get even more interesting. Once you understand those 3 key outcomes and start building your financial decisions around these, you realize that there's something still yet deeper, right at the bottom of that iceberg, beneath even the 3 big strategic questions. And this is the part that most people never even get to, but it's what successful, hardworking families truly deserve. It's this: what do I want my life and my family's life to mean? At the base of it all is the desire to flourish and thrive in life, not just be rich, but to be truly wealthy, not just to be okay, but to truly thrive, to see your children and your grandchildren succeed in life in their own way, to support aging parents with dignity, to be generous, present, and grounded. People don't come to us because they want another new, shiny investment strategy. They come to financial life managers like me because, whether they realize it or not, they want a way to turn their money and their wealth into meaning. They want to know, how do I pass on wisdom, not just wealth? How do I create a structure that gives options for the people I deeply care about? How do I build something that lasts and still really enjoy my life now. So here's the big shift. If you stop asking, what should I invest in and when should I invest in it? And you start asking, how do I build a life of mastery, security, and enjoyment? Everything changes. The conversations get far richer. The decisions become simpler. And the results? Well, they tend to take care of themselves, because when you build your plan around these much deeper outcomes, the investment stuff at the tip of the iceberg becomes just a simple tool, not a goal in itself. Great financial life management isn't about chasing returns. It's about setting a very clear direction. And like the base of that iceberg, once that direction is set, even the stormiest of markets can't knock you off course. If you'd like to have a deeper conversation about your money and your future life trajectory, you can book a call using the link below. Or check out this video next, where I share the #1 risk for wealthy investors in 2025.